Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Matt Talks Hospitality, the podcast where we talk about hospitality and technology that transform hospitality. Today, I have Mirco Weber joining me from Germany, who's been helping AMANO Hotels roll out the Mews platform across all of their hotels in a very short time span. And I thought I'd pick his brain on the challenges of how to roll out a system like this across a hotel chain at high speed and what he encountered. Mirco, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, Matt.
What's your background? Like, I understand you're not a hotelier by origin. Like, what's the industry you came out of?
No, I'm not. That's true. It's the first time that I have a project in hospitality. So I have a classical consultant background with a strong focus on the general industry and partly also from the automotive industry. I think this was also the reason why Philip Broekjaer, our CEO, asked me if I could have a review on the processes of AMANO, because AMANO is growing. And he said the processes are a bit lacking. And since you know that I have a bit of a know-how in this field, I said, yeah, sure, let's have a look. And that's where it all started.
Nice. So as a fresh brain coming into a hotel company, where do you begin looking at the processes? What's your process to look at the processes?
In this case, we started with a very concrete request, and Philip asked me to have a review on the accounting. So we started at the very back, and because he said, well, the accounting and our reports are not on time and they're not as precise as they could be. And beside that, he thinks that our accounting department is anyway too big. So yeah, that's where it all started. And yeah, we realized that a lot of issues which the accounting was struggling with was created in the processes before. So yeah, then we had a look at the accounting, and we soon discovered that we might have a review on the entire tech stack.
Really?
And that's where it all started.
So I think a lot of hoteliers will recognize that accounting is often quite manual in hotels, that just like it's often the last department to get the innovation. What did you find when you started going into the accounting office and asking questions? What were some of the biggest findings?
Well, first of all, I took a look in the processes of the department itself. Yeah, and we saw that a lot of manual work was done due to missing interfaces from the pre-systems, and also a lot of problems which appeared in the accounting, like invoices corrections and reconciliations, especially were resulting from the previous software solutions. So since I always take a look at the entire big picture, we saw pretty fast that the job is not done just by having a look isolated on the accounting.
Yeah. So you stepped back, you said, hey, there's a bigger picture here, that's a technology problem. Then what was the first kind of, like, how do you build a tech stack for hotels if you've never done this before? Like, where did you start?
Well, we just really got along the line from the back end, from the accounting, and said, okay, what is serving the accounting? And then I came up to the PMS. And then I was saying, okay, what is serving the PMS? And then we were just getting along in the value chain. You know, from the industry perspective, we always go along the value chain. And the value chain is basically, it's like a puzzle. I have pieces of puzzle, I puzzle them together and I get a picture.
Yeah.
And by getting along this line, you get a pretty fast, pretty clear view on the things which influence each other. And that's what exactly we did with the tech step. And and we came to Mews because Philip knew that Mews had a different approach in terms of the reconciliation. And that's where it all started, where we said, okay, let's have a look at Mews. What is Mews doing differently in the reconciliation, since they have the payment and the PMS integrated with each other?
Yeah. Because you ended up not just changing Mews and an accounting system. I think you changed a bunch more systems around it, right?
Yes, we basically refurbished the entire tech stack. When we said, okay, we might change the PMS, we said, okay, but then we really take care that all the components really fit to each other, that they seamlessly are integrated, and that they communicate well with each other in those terms where we need it. And that was then finally the decision. If we do such a big step, like switching the PMS, then we really do it the entire way so that we have a look on the entire tech stack.
Like it's a big decision, right? To change a bunch load of systems simultaneously in a business that runs 24/7. Did you think either I will look really, really stupid or I'm really brave for doing this?
It's always mixed feelings, right? It's always, you have a, I mean, it's a big responsibility. And often I got, let's say, do you really know what you're doing? And are you really sure that this is the right step? But I think we also really analyzed this deeply from the very beginning. And this finally led to the conclusion, yes, we are well prepared. We analyzed it well, way more than before. I think I had the luck that I also had that I was able to concentrate fully on this. So yeah, it was a brave decision. But looking back, I must say it was also a well prepared decision.
Yeah.
And if you're well prepared, then you can also be brave.
How did you prepare for it?
Well, we prepared basically by analyzing the processes. I mean, we prepared what kind of functionality we need
Yeah.
by the different software solution in terms of revenue management, in terms of channel management. And we always compared to the actual solution what we have and what doesn't work and what needs to work. Basically, we had a bunch of lists what doesn't work from the existing tech stack. And we thought, okay, could the new solution support this, solve this? And yeah, I think here we did it. We did it very well. That we prepared this quite intensively and we analyzed it deeply. And yeah, I mean, finally, it's like learning to swim. A bit of the theory, a bit of analytics, but finally, then at a certain point, you also need to jump into the water. Then you learn by the day. And the only thing is what you need to take care is that you're not shooting everything. I think it's also like this that we said, yeah, we start a new tech stack. We switched the PMS, and with the PMS also a lot of components. But we started with we call it always core tech stack. So that was the tech stack what was very needed, or the minimum tech stack. So we reduced the complexity step. We introduce the next level. For example, we are now, after our rollout, we are looking now at the CRM. We are looking of an integration of AI chatbots in written and in voice. So we're enlarging the tech stack by, I wouldn't say nice to have, but by not mandatory components.
So like your first rollout was like PMS. I'm assuming restaurants, you changed your point of sale, event system, and accounting system, or what was the first iteration?
The first iteration was the accounting system. Yeah, we had
Right.
SAP because I mean, AMANO is driven by a family office, and the family office also has a main stake in the real estate business. So in the real estate, they used SAP, and that's why also the accounting of the hotel, which came later, was set up in SAP. But SAP was isolated from the financial module point of view. So the ERP from SAP doesn't make sense in any way, and there was no interface to Oracle, and also to no other creditor system. So that's what we changed first. We changed to Data, which is a German, very broadly used accounting system, and but has a lot of connectivities. And yeah, that's where it all started. And then we analyzed the PMS, but we also made from the very beginning clear what we roll out with the PMS. So we didn't roll out just the PMS, but we made up our mind what channel manager we were supposed to have, what event solution with Event Temple, for example, we would like to have a look at, and which we implemented also finally. And yeah, flex keeping for housekeeping and maintenance. And we use Duetto for the revenue management system.
Yeah.
So, and we made sure that those parts are really working well with each other. And I mean, here we also listened a lot to the market. We made a lot of phone calls with other hotels which are using this kind of solution. So we benchmarked a bit, sure, but we also made up our mind for ourselves. And what we really learned very quickly from the past is that an interface is not an interface. Yeah, they are listed all in the marketplaces of many property management systems. But if you look then behind the curtain, the interface is often not the interface. Some are really powerful. Some are more, I would say, a marketing joke.
No, and I think what you're saying is probably one of the most valuable things I've heard an hotelier say, because they don't often ask, like, well, what fields talk to each other and how often and how solid is that interface?
Exactly. And the thing is that it is not so easy to analyze this
Yeah,
because it is very it's very rare that you get an overview of the power of the interfaces.
yeah,
So, for example, with Duetto, we got this. Duetto had a clear PowerPoint presentation. On the one, this is our interface with Oracle. This is our interface with Mews. This we cannot in this interface. It was very clear. But this was really rare, to be honest. And it was mainly a lot of asking questions. Okay, does that works? How
yeah,
does this works? And this is the crucial thing. The interface you need to see is like a highway, right? There are
yeah.
big highways and there are really small ones, bumpy ones, and fast ones. So this is, let's say, to put a similarity, you need to compare it on the highway where the data are flowing, and some highways are really fast and give you really you can accelerate, and some of them don't.
And you did a thing that we couldn't achieve 7, 8 years ago. I think when we first met with Philip, I remember that meeting in Berlin and we ended up not getting the deal. And it was because there was a resistance from the accounting team who was like, we can't work with a modern system like this. And that was what I remember to be the deal. How did you overcome the resistance from the organization that didn't want the change?
I think it wasn't the accounting department, it was rather the revenue,
You think
which
so?
was, yeah. To which meeting with Philip do you refer?
This was a meeting when we were pitching news, and I remember that the accounting department wanted an integration with a fax machine because some of the invoices still came in via fax, and we're like, we're never going to build an integration with faxes. That's the meeting I remember vividly. Still,
Okay, but this was before my time.
this
That
was
was
way before
definitely,
your time. This is like
yeah,
seven,
that
eight
was
years ago. Yeah,
way, yeah, okay, that was way before my time. I cannot judge about this one at all.
but
Yeah.
like you have attacked the kind of the cultural elements, right? Changing a system is a really hard thing because there's probably a lot of people like, no, it's fine, it's working for us. How did you overcome that?
Yeah, we overcame this pretty easy, to be honest, because we didn't have the sentence like, okay, the system works well.
Right.
Basically, each department knew that the actual tech stack which we had was not working seamlessly, and that a lot of manual thing was to be done. A lot of mistakes were created because the interfaces were not communicating well with each other.
Yeah.
So that was not a big resistance, to be honest. The biggest resistance, of course, I mean, it's in human nature, right? People usually don't like changes, but internally they already felt it. And so they are a bit more open-minded towards. And then it's about communication, and it's about getting the people into the boat, talking to them. Hey guys, we need to be up to date. We need to go with the times.
Yeah.
And I always also say with employees which I'm talking to that it also doesn't help them to
Yeah.
work in an environment which is basically outdated.
Because did
So
you find a lot of resistance of like, oh, you don't understand how we work, we're hoteliers, we do things differently, or actually
no,
they were very
no. To be
accepting of it?
honest, no. To be honest, the entire team in AMANO was very open minded and was very cooperative. I assume to have way more resistance than I finally had.
Great,
To be
great.
honest,
So you done the rollout pretty fast. What was the decision? I think you did 11 hotels, almost one every week,
yeah.
for 3, 4 months executive. What was the reason to just keep that pace of rollouts?
Well, to keep the pace of a rollout was basically the question: which way is better? If you roll out slow, you have the organization working way longer in two systems, which is not good.
Yeah.
Because they are naturally always stick to the solution which they know. Yeah, so that is one point, and we decided finally to go faster, but for the sake of rolling out, let's say, the little things which were yet not fully working. So we decided to roll out fast to carry those things which were not really working well yet through, and then to make a cleanup process after, and to go into the optimization later on. So that's a process which we started right now, because we rolled out the last property at the end of July. So, and July and August is the big holiday months in AMANO. So from the very beginning of September, we will start to clean up, to optimize, to check the system once again, because then all properties are talking the same language.
Nice. And like now that you're live everywhere, has life become a little bit easier or is it still quite painful?
life is always painful. There are always challenges.
Yeah.
And if you make the big step 5 minutes before, you see just the next step in front of you.
Yeah.
So, but that's also good because
Yeah.
this is the only way to get better each day. So, yeah, I would say normal procedure of little steps getting better each day, step by step.
Great. And what would you do differently? I hope you're going to say
Good,
nothing. It was perfect.
good question. No, I mean, the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah.
But on a certain point, you also need to be a bit happy if such a project was running well. And the rollout with Mews and the rollout of the entire tech stack did run well. I
Yeah.
mean, we were well prepared. We also had a great team internally as well as externally, which supported it. I think after 3 properties, we were really smoothly running, well-oiled a machine, which was just everyone knew what he had to do. Of course, every property was different a bit, but not, let's say, by 100%. So a lot of processes were just returning week by week. So, and yeah, basically this allowed a pretty smooth and straightforward rollout.
Nice. So if
Yeah.
another hotel group is listening to this, like what would you recommend that they do? Like what's your advice to them?
It's always individual. It's quite individual, right? Everyone has its own needs. Everyone has its own setup. But in regards of the tech, I would say choose wisely the tech stack. And I would say from my experience, I would definitely say native cloud first, because I absolutely don't believe in legacy. And I also don't believe in cloud solutions which come from a legacy, which are basically just copy and paste into a cloud. That's not the same. Then have a deep look on the interfaces, how the systems are integrated with each other. You know, in the industry, you normally have an ERP system. So that's like SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, take whatever you want. But it's one system, and then you just choose the modules: warehouse, production, financial, HR. But it stays in the same software provider, so you don't need to make up your mind so much about the interfaces. But since the hospitality, you have such a diverse tech stack, it's really, really important to take a look how the different software solutions do integrate with each other, and more important, where they don't, right? Because that is finally causing the digital breaks, and digital breaks bring up manual work, and manual work is avoiding a lean structure or a lean organization, which was always the goal from AMANO, to become lean. Cloud first, native cloud first. Yeah, because I don't believe in legacy, and I also don't believe in cloud solutions which are called cloud, but basically come from legacy. You need to take care of this because
How
it's
do you
not the
find
same.
that out? Because it's the thing, like everyone says cloud on their website. How do you actually
Yeah.
uncover whether they're marketing cloud or whether they're a genuine cloud first kind of mindset?
Well, in our case, it was a bit. It was very easy because we were always running on 2 versions.
Right.
So that's the first thing which should give you a thought. If you have 2 properties which are running on a different version, and then like, for example, if you have update outages for like 6, 7, 9 hours,
Yeah. It shouldn't happen.
this it shouldn't happen,
Yeah.
and this clearly indicates, let's say, that it might not be native cloud. And you also see it in the way of the API structures, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not that deep an IT expert, but I mean, the API structure for Muse is just so much straightforward with
I was
the
surprised
tokens.
when I first read it. When I opened it, and I was like, I'm not technical, I'm just a hotelier. And then I read it, I was like, yeah, pull all reservations and then ask for these fields. And it's like, oh, and then I list the fields by logical names. And it wasn't some complex like coding standard. It was just like common sense kind of wording. And I do encourage people that look for a system to open up someone's API, because actually you can very quickly tell whether they're written from a forward thinking way or whether they're like
Yes.
legacy mindsets.
Yes, absolutely. So that's one really big thing. And then to really have a look deeper, what we said already in the beginning, let's say you need to really look at the integrations, what the interface really provides you. because that is finally the thing which is finally indicating or finally determining how well the systems are integrated with each other or not. And if they are not, then you have a digital break. You have manual work. If you have manual work, it avoids you a lean organization, because manual work means interruptions, means someone needs to take care of it. It takes time. And with this, it avoids kind of a lean organization. And that was basically also overall the overarching principle of AMANO, was renewing the tech stack that we said we want to grow, but we want to have a lean organization.
Any exciting growth plans that you can share with us for AMANO?
I mean, yeah, in 26, 27, we are doubling the room size, the room numbers, the number of rooms. So we have actually 1,400 and we are going to about 3,000.
That's
We
incredible.
will open 3 times Hamburg, 1 times Leipzig, 1 time Munich, 1 in Berlin and 1 in London. So these are the growth plans. And that's why it was time to get ready for this. And we said, 2025 is the time to renew the tech stack and also to define the processes, to get lean, and then being ready to grow in 2026 and 2027 respectively.
Nice. My last question, like I saw in some of your hotels, you've actually changed the lobbies and the way that the flows work. You used to have a reception desk with, your Dell screens, and then the reception desk you've removed. And like, how does that work today?
It's challenging because it's right. We perform not only a system switch, but also a concept switch. And we see that the system switch is way easier for the people to handle than the concept switch.
Yeah.
Because the concept switch is a switch in the mentality of the ground floor people. Before they were asked from the guest because the guest needed something from them, key, an invoice, something. But all this administrative work is now done by the system. The guest can do the online check-in. He can get the key. He can walk straight to the elevator and go to the room. And also the invoice is getting sent automatically at the end. So now the guest relation, how we define it, is about to proactively approach the client. And that's a game changer in the mindset. It's like in the club. It's very different if someone is going to talk to you or if you are going to talk to someone. And
how are the teams thriving in that environment?
Some are doing surprisingly good. Also, some there's light and shadow. So for some, you thought like, okay, not a problem, and they are really struggling. For some, you said like, okay, maybe not, but they're super active. They really like it, and they also grow with this. It's hard to predict, but the concept change is was the idea then finally from our second CEO beside Philip. We have 2 CEOs from Ariel Schiff. And Ariel Schiff said, okay, if we're doing such a system switch enables me to get rid of the administration in the front office, then I would really like to also make a consequent step and really remove the classical front office, where it's always like someone is behind the desk, like in a bank. Or in somewhere like this classical way, you and me in front. And he said, okay, then I want to really redefine a guest relation. And he combined the guest relation of the remaining front office task with the F&B concept. So that's why we have, as of today, we're forming guest relation, which is a combination of non-administrative guest relation from the front office, like saying, hello, how are you? How do you feel? Is everything fine? And also, let's say, providing the guest a little bit of hospitality feeling from the F&B side, for example.
I think it's one of the smartest things I've heard hoteliers say in a long time. Like, it's been a thing that I have been hoping would happen. And very few hoteliers transform not only the system, but also the way that they operate. And I just want to celebrate whatever you guys are doing and just seeing the growth. It's clear that there's something really exciting happening with AMANO Hotels. And thank you for the trust in Mews, but also thank you for sharing so openly what you've done, because I think it's really powerful.
That's really nice to hear. And that was just possible also with the support of your team. I must say, the rollout, we were always very much supported. This idea of this pro support, it's a game changer for us, that you get so instant support and so much on the point. That was something we never experienced before. And that was also one big topic why we switched to PMS. So also thank you very much for you and your team, which really engaged a lot. Always had an open ear for us, always quick answers, regardless if it was Saturday night or Monday morning. It's 6
I love
o'clock.
hearing that.
That was really much appreciated, and also with the support of Claudia. That was also a big step, which we first met in the Mews Unfold in 2024, right? Yeah,
It's where
yeah,
connections are
yeah,
made. So
yeah,
Claudia is the
exactly.
consultant that I interviewed a couple of weeks ago here on Matt Talks
I know.
Hospitality, and she's done, probably hundreds of rollouts of PMSs. So whenever there's a strategic one, we try and pull her in and make connections
Yeah,
because it makes it easier if you have someone around you you've seen it
absolutely.
open for.
Absolutely. And this is exactly when where consultants really make sense, because they provide you a knowledge which you need on the point, which the organization inside doesn't have because it's not daily business. Yeah. And if daily business is then combined with such a project, it always crashes. The daily work becomes a priority, the project becomes second, and then the know-how is not there. And with Claudia and her team, she brought such a know-how into it. That was really a good combination.
Nice. Mirko, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Matt. It was a pleasure talking to you.